All right. Hey, Kyle, can you jump on camera? Hey, man, how you doing
Hello,
today?
doing well.
Hey, appreciate you doing this. I got a lot of messages of people we're going to be logging in at various times over the next 5 to 10 minutes. So let's get started. Kind of want to be sensitive of your time. And first of all, I want to I have the pleasure of introducing Kyle Mize. He's the one of the owners of SpeedPro Chattanooga, and we're going to talk to him about his story over the last. Let's go back. Hey, Kyle, I want you to introduce yourself, but I want to talk about your past prior to Speed Pro. So I'll let you introduce yourself and then I'll jump in.
Sure. So welcome everybody. My name is Kyle Mize. I am one of the co-owners here at the Chattanooga facility. Both my brother and sister-in-law are the other co-owners. Prior to joining Speed Pro, engineering is my schooling background, multi-site leadership, industrial light manufacturing. I've been all over the place, logistics. I've been in the auto industry, but most of my time has been spent in either plastic forming or metal forming.
And Kyle, prior to moving to Chattanooga, where were you guys located? And then how long have you been in Chattanooga? Tell that story.
Sure. So originally from Illinois, parents still married 54 years. Brother, myself, and my sister-in-law all went to Illinois State. I continued my education, went to University of Illinois, got a second undergrad, and then all of us went and did our graduate degrees and all that alphabet soup at the end of our name. But in 2010, my brother's job moved him from Decatur, Illinois to Chattanooga, Tennessee for the corporate relocation of their headquarters. Very involved with my niece's lives. At that time, they were 3 and 6, coaching all of their sporting events. I was actually at my brother and sister-in-law's house more than I was at my own house. So whether it was practice, dinner, games, didn't matter. I was spending more time there than I did at my actual apartment. So when they moved, part of me moved. And I was lucky enough in 2011 to be able to relocate to Chattanooga as well when Amazon opened up. So I had that opportunity. And then my parents moved down here in 2015 as well. So our entire nucleus, our family unit is down here. And they all are a tremendous help for this. Everybody has their hands in the pie to help us be successful.
Thanks, Kyle. And talk to us about what changed in your lives that you wanted to all of a sudden be your own boss. Okay, then
Sure.
Let's go into Speed Pro, but talk to me about what started that process.
Yeah, so my brother and myself have always been highly compensated individuals. We've always been successful within our careers. I'm more of the operations-driven individual. My brother's more sales and marketing and finance. But we got to a point where we had climbed the corporate ladder. I was a vice president of operations for a U.S.-based plastic injection company. My brother had held multiple roles at Mueller, which is the world's largest manufacturer of water pipe works and industrial fire hydrants. So we had made plenty of money for other people. And we had decided that we wanted to bet on ourselves and leverage the skills we have built over the last 20 plus years to try and build generational wealth and create something in the Chattanooga area that not only my brother and my sister-in-law and myself could do, but also my nieces and nephew. And at some point, if anybody can fall in love with me, get an opportunity to have a wife, hopefully have kids as well, just have something to be able to hand down and hold on and make our mark in Chattanooga. Our company name is Maximize Brands, so it's a play on our last name. So that's what we want to do. We want to have the opportunity to be a game changer in the Chattanooga market, and we decided to start here with SpeedPro.
Well, let's take a step back because I think the journey, Kyle, is important. I know the how we got to Speed Pro, and maybe leave out the name, but maybe just talk to us a little bit about
Sure.
How you got into the sign and graphic industry, the interest in it.
Sure. So at first, my brother, sister-in-law, and myself were looking at an opportunity, and we wanted to buy an existing business. And we had several opportunities, looked at different things, wanted to stay based in Chattanooga, so kind of a 120 mile radius. I had a couple opportunities, nothing really fit. We did stumble across an opportunity that is Chattanooga based. It's within the sign industry as well. It is a juggernaut. So it's a very large, a very successful location. And we had entered into talks with them, fell in love with the print industry and what it can do, how it could help with owners' discretionary income. It could replace our income and still allow us to be successful, but not be married to the business to a point where we're here nights and weekends trying to grow the business and still have that work-life balance. So we went back and forth. Unfortunately, we couldn't come to an agreement to get the buyout at the dollar amount they wanted. It was fine, but how soon they wanted to pay out, we couldn't agree on. So we had to split ways. But at that point, we had been more involved in the print space and what it can do for us. And that's when we started looking for some other opportunities. And SpeedPro was one of those. We had a couple different validation calls with other different franchises as well. And it was important for us that we chose a franchise so we have that support, especially at the very beginning. With not only us being new to the print and sign industry, we're new to being business owners as well. So it was nice to have a security net with the leadership team wherever we were going to go with a franchise model to give us that extra padding when we launched. If we did stumble and fall a little bit, it didn't hurt as much.
What did you guys like about the large and wide format graphics industry versus, I mean, you worked with a coach. Many of the folks on this call or that are going to be watching this call in the future we're working with a coach, a broker, a consultant. There's thousands of opportunities, Kyle. I was just at a conference last week. I mean, there's let's say there was 1,000 there last year. There's 1,500 this year. I mean, there's so many opportunities. So what drove you to this industry?
So when we took a step back and fell in love with the franchise that we were looking at, we took a step back and realized that large format, wide format printing touches every workspace. So when we started walking around in the mall, in a warehouse, anywhere, inside, outside, we have the ability to touch those spaces. So knowing that the market was always going to be available and it was up to us to be able to drive success and be able to touch all these different verticals within not only Chattanooga, but also in the state of Tennessee, in the Southeast, and then going nationally. And, we have bigger dreams to go internationally as well. We're really looking to create the razor blade the razor blade to the razor. We want that repeat business, the Amazons. We want a Mohawk Industries. We want people that have drive times where they change their signs every 2 to 3 months. Those are the customers that really will help us grow and get to the next level. And that was the opportunity that we were looking for that we were able to find.
All right, so I want to get into the nitty gritty a little bit. So we've jumped over a big part by design, but I want to talk about, you guys executed your franchise agreement in June of 2023. Okay, how long did it take to find a location, the build out, and then when you guys officially were open? Let's talk about that, because again, most folks I think on this call are going to be watching this are in this process.
Sure.
I had my first call with you and Chad in late April. So everybody can remember that first call, right? And then the journey getting to that franchise agreement execution. So talk to us about that.
Sure. So we officially signed in June, and lots of support from the leadership team. We had training, we had modules to go through university to help bring us up to speed, not only within the print industry, but the SpeedPro model, how they do what they do, why they do what they do. And it was up to us to go out and find a location. We had plenty of support with the leadership team on what successful SpeedPros looked like in the past, what the footprint looked like, square footage, how much office space, how much flex space, what size door do you want, how close do you want to be to a major thoroughfare. Lots of feedback was given to us at the very beginning. Unfortunately, it actually took us 3 months to find this location. And we found other locations that we would have had to squeeze into. So it's a blessing for us that none of those actually worked out. One thing we were heartbroken about is we found a space that we thought was going to be very well suited for us, but then a national chain came through. We were a startup. The national chain came through. They're guaranteed money. They're always going to pay. So the landlord said, hey, I appreciate the opportunity. It's just not going to work out. So it actually was a blessing for us because we did find this space. So our space is a little bit larger than a traditional. So we got about 5,000 square feet here. When we first started the location, it was almost 100% open. We had a 12 by 10 office space. Excuse me, at the very front of the building. We have 2 entrances at the front of the building. We have 2 overhead doors that are 10 by 10 at the rear of the building as well. So we decided to build out about 1,700 square feet of office space. Me being me, I decided to try and take this on myself. So I did the framing, the drywall, the paint, outsourced the electrical and the ceiling tile, outsourced the rough plumbing, and I did all the finished plumbing. But at this point, it was a family affair. My nieces, nephews, we even got the nieces' boyfriends involved, helped lay carpet, help pull out trash, just everywhere that we needed somebody. My mom and dad would make meals and bring them here. And there's countless times that we had pizza or a crock pot meal that my mom had brought. And it was really a great opportunity because all of the family was here building towards a dream. So what was really cool was my nieces and nephew got to see us implement what we want and go after it. So they realized that it's not all talk. And we had the opportunity and showed them what it looks like when you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to put your own money at risk, and you want to grow for the benefit of your family.
It's a great answer, man. And talk to us a little bit about that transition, though, going from the corporate world. I mean, that is a nerve-wracking moment, deciding, corporate life to now I'm my own boss and I make my own hours. Sure. Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So at first it was extremely terrifying, right? I went to the normal 9 to 5. I knew what I was getting to every day. Yes, there's critical thinking and problem solving that you had to overcome. But when you're your own business owner, if I'm working to 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, it feels a lot different than if I'm working for somebody else. Because here I'm working towards a dream. I'm working towards what we want to build. So those extra minutes, those extra hours, they fly by. It makes it very easy to want to be a part of a bigger thing, and that maximize brands and what we can do here is really important. And that was the opportunity for us to do that. So at first, we didn't really know how to fill our day, but through ask the owners, reaching out to other SpeedPro owners who are extremely helpful. They understand that everybody's new at some point. They were new when they started. So we got a studio buddy that we were able to link to, very large, successful brand within SpeedPro, been in it for over a decade. We were able to ride on his coattails and be successful and kind of rinse and repeat what he's done. Found out where the mistakes he made, what was successful, and we copied and we put our own flavor and our own flair to it. So it was important for us to be able to go through and be successful at the very beginning. And it was, like I said, scary at first, but over time, you very quickly realize that all of the decisions that you're making are helping pay dividends in the future.
And hopefully this isn't distracting. I've got pictures of your grand opening and pictures of your studio, which I'm going to stop because I want to stop at certain parts, and I just want you to elaborate a little bit on it.
Looks like I lost you on my.
Can you hear me now? Cal, can you hear me now? Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, I'm good. Sorry about that.
That's okay. So hopefully it's not distracting. I've got some pictures of your ribbon cutting, pictures of your studio. I want to stop at a couple of them, and then I just want you to kind of add a little bit more insight to it.
Sure.
But before we do that, so you guys opened up in February of 2024. You've been in business for about 4 to 5 months now. Talk to us a little bit about, and I want to just stop right here on this picture. So this was a picture of the front of your studio.
Sure.
Doesn't look that big, right, from the
No.
outside. But as soon as you walk in, it really does emulate great big graphics. Um, and so that 5,000 square feet's got graphics all over it. I mean, you guys are definitely filling it up well. Um, but talk to us about, you know, ramping up the business in a short period of time. What did you guys do to prepare for that? What did SpeedPro do to help you to prepare? And talk to us a little bit about, again, you've been in business for 4 or 5 months now, but we talked about this when you executed your agreement. The idea was, hey, be excited about opening up your business, not your doors. And
Sure.
and so from day one, I remember you guys were already starting to get, some, not requests, but you guys were getting some feelers out there, and that you knew you could get some work.
Yeah. So what was important to us is that when we did open, that we were going to be successful. So one thing that we did that was a little bit more unique is we did go out and get a sales director that worked on business development. So even before we found a location, we knew exactly how to do what we needed to do. We put a person, boots on the ground, trying to talk to businesses in the Chattanooga area who required and needed what we could offer. And that's where the studio and the buddy system came into play, where if we actually sold what we were trying to get into before we had our location, we could rely on another studio to make that for us. And then they shipped it and it looked like it came from us, just like a drop ship anywhere else. So the customer saw it as a SpeedPro item, but it was made in a SpeedPro at a different location, not necessarily in Chattanooga. So we were able to rely on some of our partners to get that done for us.
And I want to just stop right there. So this is walking into your studio, okay?
Yes.
And so I want to, now there are a lot of folks that when they talk to you, they talk to other Speed Pro owners, and everybody, a lot of folks, again, that next generation of getting equipment is adding that UV printer, adding that flatbed cutter. Um, Talk to us a little bit about what that did for you, some competitive advantages from day one.
Sure.
But also Kyle, there's a need for the roll to roll, the plotter, and the laminator. They still have a role in this business. You guys kind of hit the gas pedal a little bit, and I think it is paying dividends, in the short term.
Yeah, so it was important to us that we invested heavily in assets and be able to grow into the assets, but then have fewer people on site, but be able to hire higher caliber individuals. So the starter package has everything you need. There's actually a sign shop that is right down the street, and they've been in business for 30 years, and they have the starter package. So you can do it with what's offered through the starter package. What you have to do at that point is what same thing we did is go out and make relationships with people who are in complementary verticals that aren't yours. So we went and found a small format printer partner. We found a grand format printer partner. We found someone that could do dye sublimation. So all of the holes that we had in our offering, we found partners, and then it's one SpeedPro offering to our client. So the advantage of going to a UV hybrid printer that we went to and a cutter is it does give that competitive advantage where other print shops don't want to invest in that. They actually come to us, and we don't have to steal customers, we can share customers. So same thing, some of these sign shops have been in business for 20, 30, 40, 50 years in this location. And they've always outsourced, and they've outsourced. Unfortunately, I had to go outside of the state of Tennessee to get some of this stuff done. Now that we have some of this equipment here, they get to keep Tennessee dollars in Tennessee, which everybody's always a fan of keeping money in the local community. So when we partnered with some of these other locations, we were actually able to grow our business offering and have extension salespeople that weren't necessarily SpeedPro. So another sign location would sell for us because they'd sell our capabilities. Yes, some of our margin did have an impact on that, but it's still margin that I didn't have prior to the sale as well. So it was always a benefit for us to partner with other print shops, whether it's a local SpeedPro or it's a competitor. We do actually a customer that we have in store every day. We average about $1,000 a day with one customer is a print shop that's right down the street. It's 20 miles down the road, and they simply cannot do what we do. And they have enough customers that come to them and they want to continue to do business with them. And they forged a relationship with us that they can offer a complete solution to their customer. Same thing that we want to do with our customers as well. So it's had the opportunity for us to go in and do a couple different things. I worked at Amazon in my past, and we were able to replicate some of the Amazon product offerings inside the warehouse with the equipment that we purchased that you could do by hand, but it's very meticulous. It's the cost benefit factor is really not there. We could throw a sheet of 4x8 corrugation on there, have it cut in 20 seconds. We can build a triangle that will be hanging from the ceiling and be able to start an install on that very quickly. So it allowed us to work into a market where, one, the Chattanooga area didn't necessarily have someone that could do the work for other print shops. But two, it allows us to do some of the larger scale, more repeatable business that some of these other print shops simply can't get into.
Yeah, and I think a good example of that would be, we got the political season coming up. If someone wanted 1,000-yard signs, could you do that in-house with a roll-to-roll printer, a plotter, and a laminator? Yes, it would be very time-consuming, and that would take up the majority of your production time. And so, that just allows you to do multiple jobs at once. Now, for the folks that are on this call, now I think Chattanooga is in a unique position where that you guys were 3 hours away from a potential buddy studio. And so I know there's a couple folks on the call right now where you have a potential buddy studio that's, within, let's say, 30 minutes drive time, where you can utilize your buddy studio's flatbed printer, flatbed cutter, and then go to a sprint and getting the UV printer, bring it in-house. So there's different options out there. But Kyle, great story about that. I mean, I wanted people to hear it because I think it's important. You either, gradually get to that point or you start out with it. Okay.
Correct.
All right. So and I also want to highlight, one of the things that we don't look at competition as competition. Kyle, you hit it on the head. We look at them as strategic partners. We want to work with them, versus against them. And you're good at, that type of mentality will pay itself off. And that's what I always tell folks before you even open is just introducing yourself to the so-called competition so they do become your strategic partner. All right, Kyle, let's talk about some jobs that you guys have done and how you got them and just, the journey of that. Cause I think that's important. A lot of folks on this call are like, well, I see what you guys do, but how did you get it?
Sure.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
So one thing I will stress is the power of social media. My sister-in-law has kind of taken over that role where she will post to Instagram, she'll post to LinkedIn, to our Facebook. We do a few things on TikTok. We're going to open up a YouTube channel as well. So having those sources where you can go out and touch multiple people that wouldn't necessarily be even in the Chattanooga market, they can see what you can do. So it's important that you leverage what we're doing here and be able to show it to the masses and leverage that to the fullest potential. So that way, when people are Googling signs or they're Googling banners or they're Googling car wraps, with all of this legwork that we put into it through the social media side, that helps gain traction on our Google business page. But there's also things that we've learned that we need to improve upon and making sure that we put more photos on our Google business page, make sure we have a little bit more focus on 5-star reviews from our satisfied customers. And there's portals and things that you can use that can automatically send this out, so you can get away from the, I've got to go talk to Bob and Sue about this job. Hey, please give me a review on how well we did. You could automate that process and hands off and spend more time developing the business than working actually on the business. So it's a great tool. We got to partner with Josh for marketing and be able to access some of the different marketing programs we have, whether it's Active Campaign, or we'll be able to put in contact with people who have lists of different verticals of people that we could reach out to directly. So Josh and the SpeedPro leadership team have been very helpful in us trying to grow the brand and grow the business, and make sure we had every opportunity we needed to be successful.
Thanks. And I'm going to leave up some pictures here to talk about what type of business this is and how you got
Sure.
it. But before that, I kind of passed over. You mentioned that there is a big sign and graphic business in Chattanooga, and I think everybody, at this point, it's 2024. I mean, there's competition everywhere. So what helped you guys overcome that? Well, there's a big player in town, we can't open up a new business because there's too much competition.
Well, part of it was when we weren't able to go through the purchase, we were a little bullheaded and said we're going to be successful despite them being in our backyard. But like I said, the print industry is all over the place, and once you become part of this field, I've never touched so many signs, so many glass doors. So just to understand what the adhesive method is, what the material is made out of, if I were going to install this, how would I do it? What problems did they probably face when they did this? So you'll start walking around and your brain will start thinking like, would I have done this in a gloss or I've done this in a luster? If I was the customer, how would I explain this on the features versus the benefits? So you start absorbing it, and it's really all around. So you're not limited to not even in your own town, but if you find a strategic customer, we've got a customer that went to another SpeedPro location. They weren't as happy with some of the wrap that they did. They came up here, we were able to fix it. The customer was happy, but we were able to forge a relationship with that customer. And that customer is also in a franchise, and he wanted to get some more logos that his franchise couldn't provide to him in the time he needed. He got an exemption letter for us to print those for him. And he was so thrilled with the price that he actually contacted his corporate and said, he can give me a better price. You guys need to talk to him. So we were actually able to open up a conversation with a dumpster hauling franchise. So we are now going to be their print shop for 20 locations they have on site, and they expect to double that location number in the next year in 2025. So we were able to partner with some of these relationships that we've already done. And the power of the franchise model is actually pretty great because everybody knows everybody. And if you can get into one location, it opens you up to the entire network. So we were able to make our Chattanooga counterpart extremely happy with the quality of work we did. He was able to boast and be a salesperson for us. I didn't have to go in and pitch the vice president of operations on why our product is better, why it's a better price, why it's a better application. He did all that for me. All I had to do was say, we can meet your time frame and we won't let you down. So it was a great opportunity for us to partner with an existing customer to grow the business. And in my past life, I worked at Amazon. And what happens over time is people from Amazon, the leadership team leaves and they go to other places, and they bring 3 to 4 people with them. So everybody that I've seen over the last 8 to 10 years has all been exposed to the Amazon model. So I've been able to go out to another distribution center that Amazon people went to and was able to talk to them about why we can do what they did and how easy it is for us to do it. Part of that goes back to the assets that we purchased. We were able to do that in-house, and we didn't have to outsource that. But also having the relationship and understanding what we could do and how we could help grow the business and leverage the assets that we do have to get a complete solution to our customers.
Kyle, I'm so impressed. You sound like a tenured sign guy already. It's amazing. How long did that take? I mean, I know you pick things up pretty fast, but I mean, we're talking about, you've been in business for 4.5 months. Um, I mean, you're obviously involved in the day to day, but what was the biggest learning curve, in the beginning?
So just having the fear of going out and failing and not knowing what to do, SpeedPro has a great network, whether it's through the owners or the leadership team. If I wanted to talk to the CEO, I could call Paul up and he would answer the phone. I could talk to Steve. I could send a text message to Steve. Anybody at corporate, they were all so willing to give us what they needed in order to talk to us. So we had the opportunity to be successful. Sorry, someone tried to walk in and.
It's okay.
So I lost my train of thought. I apologize. Can you ask the question again?
Yeah, the biggest learning curve. I mean, and you were talking
Okay.
about how, everybody at corporate, they're available to you. You've got the network of SpeedPro owners. And I agree, like that's very important. There's a lot of franchises out there. Yeah, there's support, but not all the franchisees are as helpful. And I think that's the culture that we really strive. I want to make sure that we touch on your project. So let's move on. I'm going to go into a couple different projects that you guys posted on LinkedIn. If you could just tell us a little bit about it, and
Sure.
and then we'll go to the next one.
Yeah, so this one here is at a bank that just did a remodel. So it's 3 panes of glass. It's 241 inches long. It's 68 inches tall. So we actually have clear film that we printed on. That is Moccasin Bend, which is unique to Chattanooga. It's one of the main entry points into Chattanooga coming through 24. So everybody who's a local calls it the Bend, but it's a historic area. It's old manufacturing. It's close to downtown Chattanooga. So it was important for the bank to be able to show some of the history of the Chattanooga market. So we printed that. I have a 3M installer that's certified that put this up. This was put up. It was printed, within an hour and a half. The bank's right down the road. He installed this within 2 hours. So in one day, this product was printed, put up, and this was a 3-day notice from the customer that they redid the entire area. And the customer came and said, "Oh, by the way, I've got a board meeting and all the board members are coming and we really want to fill this space. What can you do?" So we put the speed in SpeedPro and offered them a solution that could really bring to life that area. So it's transparent, so you could see behind it a little bit. So it wasn't like a true wall, but it gives you enough definition where you can see what's going on in the front, but gives some of the lenders on the back a little bit more time and privacy to be able to work on what they need to.
Yeah, it's a really cool looking photo. I'm assuming it's 3 sections.
Yes, there's 3 individual panes.
Got it. Okay. All right, let's go. I want to go to this one here. This is obviously a manufacturing plant. You can see that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So talk to us a little bit about this, because when I think about the top 5 industries that we work with, manufacturing is obviously up there. Construction is up there, healthcare, education, retail. Talk to us a little bit about this that you guys did, this project.
Yeah, so this is another one of those stories where senior leadership left in Amazon and went to another location. So this is Folex. They're a drop ship company. They have locations throughout the entire U.S. They got 25, getting ready to open another 3 locations this year. And all of them worked at Amazon, and they wanted to duplicate the Amazon success that they had here. And the first thing they do is say, "I want it to look the same. If it looks the same, I'm going to feel the same. I'm going to be able to operate the same." So what we did is all of those signs are actually made out of one sheet of 4x8 chloroplast. It's printed, it's cut, it's formed by hand. My 3M certified installer went out there, We were able to partner with the customer. They had a lift on hand that we were able to utilize because those their ceilings are 35-foot tall. So we actually manufactured all of those in a day, and then the following day we went out and hung them. So we have partnerships where we have to go to Lowe's and buy some of the incidental, the chain that was hung, some of the carabiners that we use, some of the fasteners for the purlin clips. So we don't always go to sign places to get everything we need. In this case, we partnered with Home Depot, but there were 14 signs that we put up. We did magnets on their pick and pack stations. So if you had an Amazon experience in the past, you walked into this location, it would look and feel like an Amazon. So the good thing about this location is this guy has a direct ear to the owner of Folex. We did a 4x8 sign on the outside of the building as well. We did some signs on the outside of the building for shipping and receiving, some dock doors, how they were labeled. So we actually gave the entire property a facelift. And this guy was so impressed. Not only does he want to do more business with us and try and close some other gaps that he has, but he's putting us in contact with the owner of the company who's going to allow us to kind of rinse and repeat. So this goes back to that razor blade to the razor, where we have the same thing that we do over and over and over again. And we'll get even better the second, third, fourth, fifth time we do it. This was the first time that we actually designed it, manufactured it. So it took a little bit of time until we were able to get successful, but we were able to duplicate the Amazon model and give them what they were looking for.
It looks amazing. And how did you get that work? Was that through a referral? Did those people that you knew?
So funny enough, they went to the competitor that I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
The competitor did not pick up the phone and return the call. So they got upset, found us second, and then we were able to get out there and give them what they needed.
Yeah, I think it is so important. Not only obviously relationship, within the community, that's important. Building relationships with your potential customers is very important. Just following up with potential orders and jobs. I mean, it's that simple. But look, there's a lot of requests. You get busy, and everybody can answer the phone. And I know you guys got a system to make sure that doesn't happen. So I want to.
You'd be surprised, real quick. You'd be surprised how many times us just showing up gets us the job, because other people won't do it. They won't come on site to do a review of the product. They won't return a phone call. They won't return an email. And by us simply showing up and doing the basics, we were able to win several jobs.
Well, okay. I got like 4 minutes left. I want to talk a little bit about, and let me stop share here. So you're about 4.5 months, 5 months in. Talk to us how the sales how you've been able to ramp up. You don't have to be specific, Kyle, unless you want to be, but that's completely up to you.
Yeah. So, part of the journey that we had is make sure we did some business development on the front side, trying to get our name out there. We joined a business network and tried to join other small business owners in the area so we could build those relationships and then be their printer of choice. And if we weren't necessarily their printer of choice, we knew someone that could do what they needed. I don't want to print business cards, but you come to me, I'll print your business cards. Why I print your banner? And I'll have someone else make the business cards. So it was important that we were able to offer that whole solution. So when we were able to join the Chamber of Commerce, just to get us involved in the community, where we were able to expose what we were doing and how people could buy in to Chattanooga and SpeedPro joining forces and being the printer of choice in the area. There was another printer that's been here for many, many years, but they haven't necessarily focused on the Chattanooga market. They were successful elsewhere. So it was important for us to grab onto the community. And March 9th of every year is now SpeedPro Chattanooga Day through the Chamber of Commerce. So we've got our own little plaque. We've got our own little day here in Chattanooga. So building those relationships were definitely important.
Got it. And everybody on this call, you did receive an email about multi-unit ownership, and I did that strategically to tie into this validation call. And so the idea was, hey, let's develop Chattanooga, but you guys also purchased Knoxville and Huntsville. What's the plan there, Kyle, in the future?
Yeah, so probably here in the next 12 months, we're leaning towards Huntsville. It's a growing market, and it's an underserviced market as well. We've been going out. We've got a landing page there, so when people look for SpeedPro in Huntsville, it goes to us. And we've done a restaurant where we went out and did all the bathrooms, both the male and female, and wrapped it almost head to toe. The unfortunate thing is 2.5 hours from Chattanooga, so there's a 5-hour travel time that we lose. But once we get on site in there, we plan to rinse and repeat. We're going to have a 3M certified installer there. We're not necessarily going to duplicate the equipment that we have here. Chattanooga will be kind of the hub, and it'll be all the specialized equipment, but all the starter stuff that we have with the package is going to be there. And then we're going to do the same thing where are holes? All right, well, I don't have a flatbed printer here, and if I need something quick, can I go to a print shop that's local and build all those relationships again, and learning from the mistakes that we made here, and hopefully shorten that learning curve and get to the Huntsville market right away and be successful.
All right, last question. And I know you've heard this question asked because you've sat in on these calls before. What would you do differently if you could do this all over again, in regards to this process of opening up and where we are today?
The only thing I would change really is to do it sooner. The opportunities that this has given us, and we've only had a small glimpse. We're only into this so many months. We've had a taste of success. We've also had a taste of failure, where we had one really great month, and the next month it's like, where did all that business go? So there are some ups and downs, but it's how we reacted to that, and we had another strong month coming out of that. So it's important for us to understand that the market is going to be cyclical. It is going to go up and down, but we need to build a foundation where we have quality built into our processes. We're our biggest advocate, where if we wouldn't like it, if we wouldn't put it up in the studio, we're not going to give it to a customer. So when we build some of these quality assurance processes into our everyday life, it makes it easier for a customer to come in, and they won't be as picky as we are, because we understand what happens when a mistake is made and how that impacts us. Customer only sees the end result. They don't see all of the steps that get from the beginning of the order to being able to be delivered. We understand all those pain points, and what we were trying to do is remove some of those pain points from 3 months ago, from 6 months ago, to get better and better and better. We're writing standard work instructions, so that way when we go to Huntsville, I've got a standard work instructions for my production manager. I've got my standard work instructions for how to intake a vehicle for a car wrap. What does that handoff look like? So we've learned by getting bit sometimes, and we're now starting to document those processes. So when we go to another location, we don't have to feel that pain, because we already felt it once. It'd be crazy to feel it again.
Yeah. Excellent, man. Well, thank you so much, Kyle. Any last words for anybody on the call now or in the future when they watch this?
Hey, SpeedPro is a great opportunity. Being able to partner with Steve is one of the biggest reasons why Chad, Betsy, and myself decided to come through with SpeedPro. There's other opportunities out there, but this is the one that felt great for us. Steve has a very similar desire to be successful, and wants to really put a name on himself and what we can do in the market. So we want to be surrounded with leaders that want to lead from the front and be a game changer. And with Steve and Paul and the rest of the leadership team, we got plenty of support everywhere we turn. So it's a great business to be a part of. And if you do join, you won't be let down. There's lots of success to be shared. It can be scary at the beginning, but every day gets a little bit easier. And now I can walk and talk like I've been in it a little bit longer than I have. And then a year from now, I'll be completely different. So the change is evident, but we're happy to have the opportunity to partner with Steve and SpeedPro.
Thanks, Kyle. Hey, man, I appreciate it. Tell Chad and Betsy I said hi. And We'll be in touch. Thanks, Kyle. Thank you
Awesome.
everybody for listening in.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.